Good evening. Calling to order the City of Cape Canaveral's Community Appearance Board meeting of July 21st, 2021. Patty, please call the roll.
Mr. Wasserman,
Here.
Mr. Nienstadt,
Here.
Ms. Coudrier,
Here.
and Ms. Whitehead will not be here.
Thanks, Patty. I
But
appreciate it.
We do have a quorum.
Yes, we certainly do. Thank you. So we can proceed. Next in, we need to swear in anyone who plans to speak on behalf of an application this evening. If you plan to do so, please stand now and raise your right hand if possible.
Okay, do you affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you, sir. You're duly sworn.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so the first item we have on the agenda is our meeting minutes from June 23rd, 2021. I can't think of a time where it's been less than a month in recent history where we've met twice, so that's great. Good to see the business picking up here. Hope that continues in that vein. Have the members present had a chance to go ahead and read meeting minutes from the previous meeting on June 23rd?
Yes. I make a motion that we approve the minutes of the meeting of June 23rd.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the minutes from the 23rd, and it's been seconded. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
None opposed? The minutes are approved. So we have a couple more agenda items here. We have a new board member applicant, Ms. Angela Trulock, and then we also have a level 1 application for Holiday Inn Express located quite a bit down the road there at 995 Shorewood Drive. So I'll give the Holiday Inn Express folks an opportunity. Would you prefer to go next, or would you prefer we interview the applicant for the board, Ms. Trulock? So give him some chance. Yep. Okay, that sounds good. So actually, yeah, so if you don't mind approaching the podium and just state your name for the record, please. Ms. Trulock?
Angela Trulock.
Thank you very much for being here, and I really, really appreciate your interest in the board. I noticed that the board was, this board was your first choice. Can you tell us a little bit about your background, anything you'd like to add that wasn't in the board application?
No, I've never been on a board before, but I love the city of Cape Canaveral and its appearance, and would just like to be a part of that.
Is there any particular part of the city, in terms of, structural appearance and whatnot that you like you wish the whole city could look like that? Or are there any particular parts that, you wish could be a little different? And I'm just wondering, I'm just curious what your take there is.
Okay, the things that I like are, I love the mural on the back of the racquetball. I love the, at the traffic stops, the boxes that are painted. And the bus stops, between the space, just all of that. I'd like to see more of it continue throughout the city. So.
I think I'm trying to remember from your application if it states how long you've been a city resident for.
A city resident since 2014.
Okay. Is there anything in particular, city appearance-wise that, said, gee, this is the place for me? Or?
I liked it. It was a very small city. I started coming here in 2005.
Okay.
And would spend the weekends. And I just like the small town. I am just a little disappointed with all the hotels that are going up. So, but yeah, I just like the feel of Cape Canaveral.
Gotcha. Yeah, it certainly is. I think a nice combination of, residential, commercial. I certainly will. I mean, if you've been coming around since 2005, I've been a city resident since 2001. You're right. There's a lot more lodging establishments, especially in the north end, and that's been driven by a good business case. Well, at least when the cruise industry was up and running, and hopefully we'll get back there pretty soon. I just want to remind everyone present, including you, that we always have to make sure that we evaluate an application based upon its appearance according to the city standards and whatnot, and local immediately surrounding property. we're not here to kind of assess its use or, you know, kind of pass judgment on that. But yeah, I can definitely appreciate a preference one way or the other, for sure.
Yeah.
I'd like to invite any of the other board members to,
Be nice to have another member. Maybe one of these days we'll have a full board.
Be nice.
How do you think the area on the north end that we are doing, the hotels, how do you think that the city of Cape Canaveral is handling that, and as far as what the structures look like and how they're maintained, and you know, the egress to them and the signage and so forth? Are we doing a good job on that? I mean,
Yes.
the hotel
The
industry.
only ones that, me personally, are the two newest ones. By Central, you know, in back of Zachary's. And, yeah, I don't particularly care for where they're located at. But, you know, the other ones are okay. They seem to be not as high and further back. And these two are just,
Out there,
yep. Also blocking my view from where I live. I live right there, and it definitely hinders the view that I have. So, but other than that, I'm okay. I do know that it, you know, the revenue that it generates and the good that it does for the city, you know, I realize all of that, so.
I recommend we approve, Angela.
I second that.
thank
Are we
you.
ready to do that?
okay, and just, yes, no, yeah, certainly, yes. I just want to clarify, we are recommending to the city council that they appoint Ms. Turlock, that's going to be, that's what, we're not the approving body, but we recommend to the city council. So I understand that is the motion.
Yeah.
And it's been seconded. So all in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. There being none opposed, thank you for being here. You should be hearing from the city about your opportunity then to go before the city council to be interviewed as such, and then hopefully appointed. So we look forward to seeing you here again. Thank you, Mr. Luck. Okay, next up on the agenda, and I would be remiss if I didn't thank our sheriff's deputy for being here this evening as well. Thank you, sir. Appreciate your presence. Next up, number 3, we do have the level 1 application for the Holiday Inn Express located 995 Shorewood Drive. And Ms. Brenda, if you'd like to present your staff report to us, that would be great. Appreciate it.
Sure. So this is for another hotel project. It is a level 1 application for the Holiday Inn Express located at 995 Shorewood Drive. It is part of the larger Holiday Inn Vacations Cape Canaveral Beach Resort, and the applicant/owner is Holiday Inn Club Vacations Incorporated. The important thing to note here is that this is being developed under a binding developers agreement. We spelled it out pretty specifically in the staff report, but the highlight is that there was a third modification to that agreement, and within there were some additional landscape and appearance things that we'll go over when we get to the back end of the staff report. But the project is a 4-story structure. It's not within the overlay, so it'll be 4 stories and 150 rooms, which is generally our standard for hotel projects. It is in the C1 district, so it's located, like we said, over off of George King and Shorewood Drive, where the existing resort is, and there you should be able to see the aerial on your screen. And then I'm just going to go through a few street photos. Your packet has a lot more. I don't have as much in the presentation, but I will go over some of the key things when we get to the site plan. So we've got some street photos here of the drive, the existing drive. And then we have the site plan. So you have a bigger version, like I said, in front of you. It's a little bit difficult to tell But specifically, generally, this meets all of the requirements for a level 1 application. So they meet them and I would say exceed the criteria because of the developer's agreement. Specifically, there's section 5, which indicates there's a modified conservation easement. And the most recent site plan includes the conservation easement and a 5-foot wide public paved trail. That was one of the key things that the agreement spelled out, needed to be included in the site plan, and that is indicated on here. It will be able to have access for public pedestrian and non-motorized bicycle use. There are removable metal bollards indicated on the site plan as well. And it also indicates that the pedestrian trail will connect to George King and Shorewood as described in the developer's agreement. There's also a new crosswalk indicated at the southern portion of Shorewood Drive, which is another nice addition. Next, there's some additional standards for landscape. So I'm not going to read this whole section to you guys because I assume you've read through it. But the thing that we're going to note is that it is to the east of the building along Shorewood Drive, and it's also indicated on the north side along George King Boulevard. There's also a 4-foot masonry wall, and you can see it in some of the renderings. It's also indicated on the site plan. And I would say as far as the renderings go and the vegetation and the landscape that's shown, it's a pretty good plan, and I think, like I said, it exceeds generally what our code asks you to do. And the final thing we'll discuss is the maintenance area. I'll go back to the photos, but this is an existing area it's not technically on the site, but it is part of the project. Like I said, it's part of the vacation resort site. And in the agreement, there was specifications for that to be maintained in a certain fashion. Specifically, the fencing needs to be maintained and in good condition. It needs to be free of litter, and it shouldn't have any kind of extra debris or any kind of other materials outside of the fence. And from the photos, I think we can say that they've done a good job of that. So there's the site plan again. We've got some elevations. And the east elevation, I believe, will be the entrance. And then the rendering that shows the masonry wall and the vegetation and landscaping along George King and Shorewood. And then I have a final rendering of the front with the porte cochere and the entrance. Staff is recommending approval of the project as part of the larger Holiday Inn Club Vacations Beach Resort property and in accordance with the binding developers agreement. If you have any other questions, we do have the engineer and the applicant here.
Thank you, I really appreciate that. So just a real quick question, can you go back to the site plan and show me again where the maintenance area was that you specified, or is it off?
The maintenance area isn't on this plan because it's technically part of the vacation resorts site, so it's
Okay.
not part of this parcel, if you will.
Okay, I
But
got
the
you.
photos indicate that the maintenance area is being maintained, I would say, and being well cared for and meeting the requirements of the developer's agreement.
End of the road there.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess it would be a little bit.
It's
east.
just south,
It's
yeah,
south-
it's
south of
just
it? Okay.
south of it would extend beyond what the site plan is showing.
Okay. Okay. And again, this is currently zoned, it's
It
zoned
is
commercial?
zone C1, commercial. Surrounding zoning is a little bit mixed. We've got some M1 industrial, and then we have some residential. But it's not uncommon for the city. Yeah.
Yeah,
so-
especially at the north end there.
Right, right. And it is adjacent to an existing hotel project, if you will, the Vacation Club Resorts.
Yep. Yep, I remember when the Carib development came here some time
Right.
ago.
Right.
Okay, anyone have any questions for Ms. Brenda?
Whereabouts is the trail going to be? It's going to be,
So it's a little difficult to tell, but you see the kind of squiggly line that's going from George King South and then coming down around, going west on the property on
Oh,
the
behind
site
the
plan.
building.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay,
So that-
got it.
So that's where it'll connect. And then it goes across the street, across Shorewood, and that's that crosswalk,
Right.
the new crosswalk that's indicated.
okay.
And the masonry wall, for reference, is on the top right corner of the site plan. When you'll come in, it basically abuts George King and Shorewood.
Do you know what, if any, and this might be a question for the applicant, but immediately west of the trail as it moves from north to south, that abuts the industrial zone tank farm, correct?
Yeah,
Is-
but there's a conservation easement there as well. So there is that additional buffer between that and the project.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's highly vegetated, I guess? Is that what it
Yeah,
is? Or okay,
That's the deal. It's supposed to remain so, and I think low maintenance, in addition to the other landscaping for the
Okay.
site, yeah.
okay. Yeah, I mean, my immediate concern was without that, you'd be
Right.
kind of driving.
Right. And the
right past the
pedestrian
tank farm and
walkway,
stuff,
yeah,
right? So-
wouldn't be the greatest.
Right. All right, any other questions for Ms. Brenda? No? Okay, well, thank you very much. I appreciate as usual, the complete staff report.
Thank you.
And I invite any of the applicants to come forward and maybe expand a little more on the application and provide some additional details. Just do please state your name for the record, sir.
Good evening, Mike Allen with Allen Engineering. Just to further explain that conservation easement area, it is going to remain in its natural condition. That path will kind of meander through any specimen trees that are in that area, so we don't plan on removing much of anything. There is, west of the site, going to be another vegetative strip before you actually hit the tank farm. So you will have a nice buffer between this and the tank farm, not that the tank farm needs it, but at least the hotel will get that buffer effect.
That's what I was going to ask too, is, as obviously as you get higher in elevation, in the hotel, you'll lose that buffer effect a little bit. I guess there's really just nothing you can do to practically mitigate that.
There really isn't, but, at least we're not going the additional height. We're staying at the 4 floors.
Yep, and absolutely, I mean, the tank farm has its purpose, but, our visitors, don't come here to see a tank farm, but I
Right,
understand.
and it'll be a nice view of the cruise ship when it's in port.
Well, that's true, that's right, yeah.
So,
Maybe they'll focus on the cruise ship.
I'm
and not the
hoping.
tank farm. Yeah. So it looks like most of the common areas are going to be also kind of shielded from the developed property to the east, right? Is that what I'm looking at? The entrance faces east, but the pool, any kind of associated activity there, looks like it's mostly on the west side of the hotel, right?
yes, sir. And this is something that we went through with staff and the city attorney as part of the revision to the developers agreement, was to, kind of face the hotel towards Cape Creek. Well, I call it Cape Creek just because I've been around for a while. With the amenities on the backside, so that there was a buffer there.
Okay. And these are all fixed windows, right? None of them open?
Yes, sir.
Yep, and no balconies either, right?
No, sir.
Oh, okay. I have to compliment you on the appearance as depicted here. I know even though it's not in the economic development zone, it certainly seems to embrace a lot of what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I
with
think
regard to those
Catamilty
homes.
set a nice example with Cape Grebe, and the direction we received from the owner was to try to match that as much as possible, but yet still make it its own individual, development. So I think the landscape architects and the architects have done a very nice job blending the two together.
Yeah, I agree.
Just curious, is this hotel incorporate any, like meeting areas, or is it all strictly lodging and common areas for guests?
There's a small meeting space in the front. It's really intended for guest access to the beach.
Lodging, yeah. Another thing we normally kind of concentrate on, I guess, the refuse collection area, is that also kind of on the western side of the property here, looking at the
It's on
elevation?
the southern end of the building,
Okay,
but I think we do have a nice detailed enclosure for that. It will be a walled structure.
exactly. Oh, sir, if you can also just state your name for the record.
I'm Paul Denning with Holiday Inn Club Vacations.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Denning. Looks like too, from the elevation renderings, the HVAC units are, really kind of mostly, looks like they're on the roof and shielded from view in general. Is
The
that,
unit HVACs are window units.
yeah, like an individual hotel, yeah,
Rooftop.
rooftop, right, yeah. Well, I've done all the questioning here, and I invite.
Did a nice job.
I invite you all. I definitely invite you all to,
You're asking all
How
the
many
right
questions?
questions.
Can I ask a couple questions, if you don't mind?
yes, sir. No,
Because, this goes way back, as you know, we've been working on this development agreement for years. The northern side, the wall feature, is that gonna be carried along the perimeter of the north side? That's hard to tell from,
It extends down to the end or the start of the parking area on the north side.
okay, and then what? Just landscape buffer?
Just landscaping after that.
Okay, because I was looking at a picture, it looked like there was a wall, and then I saw a white fence. I don't know if I was the right side of the building, so I was just,
There's intermittent wall and
Picket fencing.
fencing is the entire stretch of the wall.
okay. And then, with respect to the existing storage area, will you be making any modifications to that? There's a wood fence there and
The maintenance area.
yeah, the little maintenance area just to the
We have no
south.
plans at this point to modify that, other than to meet the requirements of the modifications.
So that's just gonna stay wood with the
At this
screen
point,
over the fence?
We don't have any other screening at all around the resort, so.
And the signage, the Holiday Inn Express signage will be facing north, and is that the only?
It actually faces, yes, the wall sign is north, and then the monument sign is at the main entrance of the meeting.
Is that depicted?
It is on the site plan, and I think we provided a detail as well, if you don't
The
understand.
site plan shows the monument there at the entrance, and then the wall sign is depicted in the rendering.
Yeah, I definitely see the wall sign.
Yeah, I
Okay.
see the wall sign, I don't see the,
I don't think.
Monuments-
Monument's not depicted.
the monument's not depicted.
It's a standard IC required 6-foot monument sign,
6 foot.
or 6-foot tall monument sign.
I think I'm familiar with those. They have kind of like a brown base and then
In this case, it's aluminum,
aluminum.
brushed aluminum with blue accents.
Okay.
And where's Brenda? Has that been submitted for approval, or
Not yet.
not yet?
Not the sign, to my knowledge, not yet.
So that's not part of the approval this evening?
Sign permitting process.
Yeah, I think we just do the regular permitting process for that to make sure it meets all the other requirements of city code.
But it's still not years and years ago, it was a requirement for the board to approve even signage, but I think that has been delegated to the staff now, correct?
Yeah, I think
Yeah, that's it.
the sign code, I would say, is a bit more technical now. And I think generally staff has been managing that.
Here's sorry I didn't bring multiple copies, but there's a
Oh, that's okay.
picture of the 6-foot monument sign that they are proposing. That's the clouded one on the right.
Okay, the one on the right, yep. And then that'll be illuminated at night? Or-
Yes, sir.
So that's just going through a different permit process, right, Brenda?
Yes.
So you'll be looking at this.
permitted as normal, yes, and we'll review it and make any revisions or address any concerns.
In overall, I mean, I'm just a lawyer here, but I mean, I drive by that area quite frequently, and we talked about trying to make it look compatible and in harmony with the existing resort campus that's across the street, and I think you've done a pretty admirable job in doing that. So,
Thank you.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it'll be a nice enhancement to that corner of our city there. And you know, the Cape Caribe development, I think, is now north of 10 years old or more, isn't it? So, you know,
Yeah,
it's,
it goes back some time, and this hotel was part of the original agreement. And for this site, the original agreement actually called for two buildings, 150 key maximum, and they came in for the modification to propose one building. And that's why you ended up with the third modification and then some of the requirements, which they appeared to have complied with in terms of laying out their development project.
I'm going to go ahead and make a motion that we approve item 3 here on the agenda, the level 1 application for the Holiday Inn Express located at 995 Shorewood Drive, along with, if needed, for inclusion in the nomination, the binding developers agreement as presented and as described in the packet.
I second it.
Okay, so we have a motion to go ahead and approve, including the binding developers agreement and details therein, and it's been seconded. Any additional questions, comments from the board members? Questions, comments from the audience? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
None opposed? The motion passes. Thank you. I appreciate your time here. Mr. Allen, Mr. Deming,
Thank you very much.
good luck with the project. I look forward to seeing it come to fruition.
I'm gonna talk about that.
Okay, well, that concludes our agenda items. Anything coming on the pike, Ms. Brenda, that, might be
Not
good to
at this
know?
moment. I don't anticipate a meeting next month, but don't hold me to that. But we might, maybe in the next few months, we might have another CAB meeting.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, certainly,
Things
know-
are starting, I guess, to fire back up now that people are, if we will call it post-pandemic, but.
getting
yeah.
closer maybe. I'm not sure where they're at.
Closer, I
but,
wouldn't
yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily call us post yet, but, yeah, we're seeing a lot of activity, so we'll see what happens in the next few months.
All right, all right. Well, good to hear. We look forward to seeing what we might see.
Make a motion that we adjourn the meeting?
I second.
Okay, motion to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye.